What is up, Nerf Nation? I'm Naptown Nerf, and today we're going to be building yet another FDL. But first, I wanted to show you that we're going to call it Black Hole FDL for, I think, appropriate reasons, is all back together and as good as new. Looks amazing. I really want to thank Jesse and Jackie for helping me out and repairing this thing after a pretty fluke accident during the Foam Pro Tour, which I'm sure many of you guys saw from my video. That was just too wild not to share, but it was definitely not anything against this blaster because this thing is pretty darn awesome, and I have enjoyed it enough to actually want to build a second one that uses Talon magazines. So something that I think will work actually a little bit better and will allow my team to share darts a little bit better for 5v5 tournaments, Foam Pro Tour tournaments, things like that. If we're all using the same type of ammo, then we can switch out magazines and if people are a little low or whatever. So I think that's a strategy that we would like to have if we can ever get around to actually practicing and starting our own league, which I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but we are trying to start a Midwest Dart League that is focused around competitive Nerf. We are in the process of doing so. I will put a link in the description if you're interested in checking that out. We have a group going, but we are having a bit of difficulty finding a location at the moment, and that has been a bit stressful, but hopefully something will work itself out and we will actually be able to have an event sooner rather than later. But this thing looks awesome, amazing. I just wanted to show you guys that. Let's go ahead and start building the new one. So I got the parts all printed out. At least I assume I've printed all the parts. I'm pretty sure I got them all there. And we will set that aside for a second. I have my wiring motor hardware bundle. I can't remember what exactly they call it. Some sort of bundle with all the parts and hardware that you need. And it's already wired up and very nicely packaged, which is really cool. And bubble wrap, so it's all nice and protected there. So we have all the screws and motors and, Arduinos and all that good stuff to assemble our blaster. Should be pretty simple since everything's wired up, and that's why we're here at this table today, because I don't have to solder anything. So there are all the parts all laid out. So I've picked out some pretty cool filament, I think, for this project. I really am liking this atomic carbon fiber filament. I think it looks awesome. They make it in actually PLA and in PETG, but I already had the PETG, so I did that. It's very smooth. It prints very nicely. There's only one section that I had a little bit of issue with, and that was one of the parts on the front half of the blaster in terms of cleanliness, but it wasn't really anything major. It's just that I'm very, very picky. But I think it's going to look all right. I printed it out a few times and picked the best one. But nevertheless, we've also gone with some really cool filament from Filamentum that was provided to me. Well, I purchased it from Jesse and Jackie as they made a large order from them. I got a really cool ice blue, what is it called? Icelandic blue, I think. And then a crystal clear filament. So pretty cool. I really do like the blue. The clear looks all right. I really would like to do something a little more fun with the front of this, but I just don't have the knowledge to do that. I kind of wanted to go for I don't know, I think the name of this is going to be like Black Ice. Just something fun, I guess. I think the color combination looks pretty sweet. Here's the front half. I just kind of roughly assembled that, and that's kind of how that looks. So yeah, pretty sweet. I think it's going to look pretty good. So let's get started. All right, you guys, so this thing is together and functioning great. It was pretty straightforward and easy actually assembling. I had really no issues at all. Pretty happy with how it turned out, although I do want to do more with these side panels and see if I can jazz it up a little bit in the future, but it's really easy to put together yourself. I was very surprised. Everything went together great. I do think it's pretty important that you have a good quality printer and know how to come out with good quality prints, because there's probably some very tight tolerances. The way things fit together, it's very tight. So the Prusa Mark III works great. Highly recommend that printer. If you can afford it, I highly recommend it, because it's going to solve a lot of issues that you're going to find with lower price printers, and saving up for the Prusa I think is well worth it. Nevertheless, we'll turn this thing on and put some shots over the chronograph. I will bring out my full-length FDL and kind of compare it to this to kind of see performance, how it compares. We'll use Adventure Force waffles, cut down on this obviously and full length on the other, to kind of compare and see what kind of performance we're getting from both, and maybe check out a little bit of accuracy, just to get an initial test and see how they compare. Obviously there's pluses to minuses to both, but maybe we'll talk about that at the end after I shoot them both off. But let's go ahead and see what this is doing. Got it cranked up to 100 there. Should be on single. Here we go. 177, 159, 174, 151, 170, 172, 169, 175, 169, 175, 173, 174, 173, 169, 171, 145, and we're out. All right, I'd say that performance is pretty good. It's a few little inconsistencies, but that could be quality of the dart or whatever. I mean, these are new, but they were in a box and some of them got a little squished. I tried to pick out the good ones, obviously, but you never know what could cause it. But let's go ahead and do some shots, burst fire and full auto, because that's what this thing is so awesome at doing, is you can do single fire. You can do 2-round burst, which I have that preset there, 2-round burst. Pretty sweet. We can go in here and go to the burst. We can switch it to full auto. We could do 3-round burst. And that's all. So just a 2-round there because we ran out. But yeah, this thing, it really doesn't get much better than an FDL. I mean, the thing just works. It's amazing. As long as you don't run it into your knee and something fluky happens, you should be all right. I mean, just other than maybe leaving it in your car, but that goes for anything that's 3D printed. Don't leave it in your car. But yeah, I went with some carbon fiber PETG to kind of help with heat things. Obviously the other filaments is still PETG or still PLA, so you still have to be careful with temperature no matter what really, but especially with the PLA. But the filamentum was just too cool, I thought, not to use. I really like that blue a lot. Let's go ahead and grab that other FDL and see how it's doing. All right, you guys, let's put some shots over with the original, now black hole FDL3, or the Naptown Nerf FDL3, because it has that really sick logo that Jesse did for me. Even though we couldn't do the whole thing, I really like the simpler version of it a lot. I think that is a nice look. So let's go ahead and see what kind of performance we're getting out of this now that it's all rebuilt, and see how it compares to the half darts. 186, duplicate 186, 188, 189, 188, 188, 185, 187, 186, 188, 189, 186, duplicate 186, 189, 190, 185, 195, wow. 186, 187. All right, well, that's probably enough. I mean, that's very, very impressive, pretty consistent between 185 and 190. We did get that 195 there, but, you know, that's really, really impressive from a, you know, single stage flywheel blaster. I mean, you can't get much better than that, I don't think so. And darts were flying very straight, both with the half lengths and the full lengths. Distances, I don't know, I guess we could go look. I'm not sure how accurate it's gonna be because I might have hit the fence a few times trying not to shoot them into the lake. But yeah, I mean, this thing's very impressive, and full lengths are still gonna get you higher FPS just because there's more surface area. The really only difference between the two blasters is these do have Jesse's new ABS flywheels in it, and the other have PLA flywheels. I wanted to try to do ABS flywheels, but I just thought it wasn't gonna work well since I don't have a enclosure for my printer. So maybe that's something I can look at doing down the road, or just buying a set off of Jesse. Or, you know, there has been people talking about, you know, machining some, so that could be a cool option for that too, and an upgrade for that in the future. But yeah, this thing's just a beast, and I love it. Color scheme, filament scheme is just gorgeous. And let's go ahead and let's take a look at those ranges and see how that differs a little bit. So it is a bit breezy out, if you can't tell, and yeah, there's some one full length, two half lengths, but they're sprinkled here throughout, all the way down. A lot of half lengths. I shot a lot more of those, obviously. Some food that Jill didn't quite get to the woods from the chicken coop, but you know, that's how it is. But yeah, I mean, actually, I don't think the ranges seem to be that much different. You know, the half length darts, I think, fly a little straighter and are a little more accurate, just from the original eye test. Like, I haven't obviously warred with this, and that's really the best way to test accuracy, is out on the field. You really get a good sense of, you know, how accurate things are when you're actually shooting at an opponent in real live combat. But, you know, I don't know. I think the ranges seem to be pretty equal, so I don't think one is really outranging the other by much. Even though these get higher FPS, there's more weight, and they obviously aren't as aerodynamic. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's been a minute since I've posted a video, but life happens. It's been crazy lately, and I just haven't had a lot to do videos on and time to build things. Like that FDL, I had all the printed parts done for like a month, and I just finally got around to doing it. So, all right, you guys, so there they are side by side, and I just want to talk a little bit about the differences and similarities. Obviously, performance-wise, I feel like they're pretty similar, actually. You're not losing too much performance, especially range, with the half-length darts. You might even get better range if you're using, you know, the ABS flywheels, and you may get a little bit more FPS out of them also. But, you know, when it comes down to choosing between the full-length version or the half-length version, I think it really depends on what wars you go to, how you want to use it. If you're playing HVZ, most HVZs besides in-war don't allow half-length darts. I'm assuming in-war will continue allowing half-length darts. It may just depend a little bit on where it's actually being held and what their rules are, but most HVZ events are still full-length only, so keep that in mind if you want to use it for that. The full-length blaster is probably the way to go. If you're thinking about 5v5, I would highly recommend half-lengths, because your springers are going to be using half-length darts. You can switch between, you know, a flywheeler and a springer and not have to change magazines if you're using talons. The talon magazines, you can hold a lot more of those on, even though the capacity is less per mag than like a Worker 22 per se. I can hold a lot more of those 15-round Talon mags on me than the Worker 22s. The Talon magazines are pretty inexpensive, a lot cheaper than the Worker 22s, so think about that also. But if you already have only full-length mags, if you're only using full-length darts now, maybe the full-length is the way to go. You know, I would probably stick with a full-length if that's what you mainly use. If you mainly use half-lengths, or you want to go into that direction with springers, you know, maybe having a flywheel blaster that, oh, we are on. Oh, this one's on. We're turning it off now. It's pretty cool actually. If it's on and isn't fired within a certain amount of time, it will beep at you and then shut off. So if you're playing HVZ, that can happen quite often, and all you really have to do is just tap the trigger and it will rev it, and hopefully not fire. It shouldn't fire if you just tap it slightly, and that will reset it, and so it won't shut off, because having your blaster shut off in HVZ would not be good. Nevertheless, I think they're both great options. It really just depends on your play style and your loadout, and I'm glad I have one of each. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this build video and comparison of my two FDLs. Smash that like button, please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and as always, peace out.